Good morning, I'm Tracy Sinclair, and we are just getting ready on standby for a press conference from Mayor Suzanne LaFrance, the Anchorage mayor, of course, and the Anchorage School District Superintendent, Jharrett. Bryantt. They are meeting down at the mayor's conference room at City Hall, and the expectation is that they're going to discuss an option, that is how it's described, is an option on ways to reduce the impacts of the $83 million operational budget deficit coming up for the school year of 2026-27. Now, they are still preparing. We're not quite ready, but we wanted to come on to make sure that we didn't miss it. So as they're still setting up a few microphones, we are anticipating both Mayor Suzanne LaFrance and Superintendent Bryantt to be here to discuss an option on ways to reduce the impacts of the $83 million operational budget deficit that is coming up for the 26-27 school year. We will continue to monitor this. As I said, we're still looking to see, they have not quite yet begun, but we will begin here in just a few minutes. Please stand by.
Testing.
As you heard, we are just getting ready. This is the room down at City Hall where we are anticipating in mere moments, we hope, Mayor Suzanne LaFrance and Anchorage School District Superintendent Dr. Jharrett Bryantt. They are planning a press conference to discuss an option of reducing impacts of the $83 million operational budget deficit that is going to hit the Anchorage School District coming up in 2026, 2027 in that school year. Was set to begin at 10:30, so we're just waiting on the two main participants to arrive, and we will bring you that in its entirety. If you're just joining us, I'm Tracy Sinclair with Alaska's News Source, and we are on standby for a press conference with Anchorage Mayor Suzanne LaFrance and the Anchorage School District Superintendent Jharrett Bryantt, talking about an option to reduce the impact of the $83 million budget deficit for the 2026-27 school year. And it looks like we are getting ready to begin.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Before we begin, I want to thank Superintendent Dr. Jharrett Bryantt for your partnership and advocacy for sustainable funding solutions for our schools. I also want to acknowledge School Board President Carl Jacobs and Anchorage Assembly Vice Chair Anna Brawley, who are also here in support of our shared goal, ensuring our local schools have the resources they need to support our students. I believe that a strong Anchorage starts with a strong education system. Our schools are the core of our community, and right now, they are facing a crisis that requires our immediate attention. As many of you know, the Anchorage School District will have an $83 million operational funding shortfall for the 2026 through 27 school year. Our families, our educators will see significant increases in class sizes and deep cuts to the student programs that help our children succeed. Historically, the municipality has always funded our schools to the maximum allowed by the state. However, recent changes to the state's base student allocation have raised the amount that the municipality may invest in our schools. This has created a unique window of opportunity. Today, I am announcing a proposal for a one-time $12 million education levy for the April ballot. Thank you to the Anchorage Assembly co-sponsors, Vice Chair Anna Brawley, Assembly members Felix Rivera and Aaron Baldwin-Day. This measure will allow the municipality to provide more support precisely when it is needed most. This is a strategic investment to reduce forecasted class size increases and protect essential student programs. While $20 million cannot close the huge gap the district is facing, shrinking that shortfall will make a big, tangible difference in the classroom for our students. As you're all aware, over the last several months, we have been having a vital conversation around the municipality's long-term fiscal health and the need to diversify our revenue. But the crisis facing our schools is too urgent to wait. Because of that urgency, I am asking the Assembly to set aside other revenue measures, including our sales tax proposal, for the time being. We must ask voters to focus squarely on our schools this April. This one-time levy is the most direct way for our community to stand up for our students today. I firmly believe public education is the best investment we can make for the future of Anchorage. Shrinking the ASD funding gap by $12 million will make a tangible difference in the success of our students and the stability of our neighborhoods. This tax levy gives us a way to help protect our schools while we work toward long-term solutions at the state level. I look forward to working with the Assembly to move this forward to voters. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Bryantt to discuss in more detail how this one-time levy will be put to work for our students. Thank you.
Good morning. First off, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Mayor LaFrance for her leadership in unlocking this opportunity for the Anchorage School District. And I also want to acknowledge Vice Chair Brawley and the work of the Assembly behind this incredible opportunity for our students. So I want to be candid with our community. The Anchorage School District is facing serious financial headwinds with a deficit in the magnitude of around $80 million. And as many of us know, costs are increasing in every area for Anchorage School District with regards to transportation, utility, labor contracts, healthcare, and more. And for many years, the state has not kept up with the impact of inflation. With that said, last year, as we're tracking, the state legislature did approve a $700 permanent increase to the base student allocation, and the Anchorage School District is incredibly grateful for that. It was meaningful and it helped, but over the past 10 years, inflation has eroded school purchasing power by around $1,800 per student. So while the $700 increase did provide relief, it did not fully restore what schools have lost. As a result, even though we're in the process of making significant reductions outside of the classroom, deeper than we've cut in many, many years, ASD is still facing difficult choices for the 26-27 budget, and that will likely impact class sizes and staffing. And that's why today's announcement matters. The mayor's proposal for a one-time education levy, if approved by the voters, would provide up to $11.8 million to reduce the most severe impacts that the Anchorage School District anticipates facing next year. It will not solve the entire gap, but this would make a true difference for our students. If voters approve this levy, I will commit to directing these dollars to teaching positions and essential student services. Manageable class sizes are at the top of the list of what our parents desire for their children. And additionally, I see our teachers every day in their classrooms. They're giving their all, but they're exhausted. And this levy could provide much needed relief for our parents and ensure that the learning can continue for our students despite the obstacles that we see ahead as a result of this substantial deficit. So to put the scale of the levy in perspective, $11.8 million is roughly equivalent to about 90 teacher positions. And that matters when we're trying to balance class sizes district-wide and protect the classroom experience. 90 teaching positions could be theoretically distributed across the entire municipality in the classrooms where it's needed the most. So I want to be clear that this levy is not a long-term fix. It's a one-time opportunity that will help ASD respond to an urgent moment while we continue pushing for stable, predictable education funding at the state level. I do recognize that this is a significant ask of the community, and we don't take this lightly. I am grateful to the mayor and for our local leaders for acting with urgency and for putting students first. Thank you.
We'll now take some questions. We also have Andy Ratliff, the ASD CFO here, and Bill Falsey, our Chief Administrative Officer for the municipality, and Kate Vogel from the Department of Law.
What does 11.8 or $12 million, what does that break down to for $100,000 of assessed value? Like how much more, if this were to go into effect, would the average homeowner paying their mortgage expect to pay for in the year ahead?
The $12 million translates to $27.40 per $100,000 of assessed property tax value. So an average home of around $400,000 would be just upwards of $100. Thank you.
I'm curious why the 12 million number was chosen. Why also only 1 year, given the systemic issues that Alaska school funding faces, and given that $12 million doesn't quite fill an $83 million gap.
So I'll start off and then turn to Dr. Bryantt or Mr. Ratliff. So why $12 million? The amount that our community funds education is determined by a number of factors at the state level. We have a required amount that we pay and a voluntary amount that we can pay. This year, because of changes in the base student allocation, that required amount increased and we could pay more. The second part of your question has to do, you asked about why a one-time. We don't know how much will be required or permitted to pay next year. There are a number of different factors that go into that calculation, and so we are focusing on what we can do right now. And then I'll go ahead and turn to Dr. Bryantt to add anything there.
Thank you. Mayor LaFrance summarized it very well. As a result of the base student allocation increase, there's now more headroom where the municipality can contribute more towards the cost of local education. And when I speak with parents, they ask if there's anything that they can do to potentially contribute towards things like class sizes and essential services. And for the first time in many years, the answer is yes, the community can have their voice and weigh in on this proposition. And if successful, again, it would make a difference equivalent to about 90 teaching positions, which for a district the size of Anchorage could be very positive. So we're thankful for that opportunity. With regards to the 1 year versus multi-year, I think that this 1 year allows us to have a nice transition because we do anticipate that there'll be a change in state leadership as we look ahead towards the governor's race, and we are yearning for a long-range fiscal vision and fiscal plan for the state and specifically for education. So this will buy us essential time to determine our longer-range steps forward as a city and as a state.
So I just want to make sure I heard you clear earlier. So your intention is to put this to the ballot and to not put forward the sales tax proposal or any of the other taxes that the Assembly is putting forward? Is that?
That is correct. I'm asking the Assembly to hold off on taking up other revenue measures. We believe it is too much to have two revenue measures on the ballot. A sales tax proposal won't generate revenue for 1.5 to 2 years or so, whereas the levy will be immediate.
And so, your administration has talked a lot about this impending fiscal cliff, and unless I might be confused about how budgeting works, but this money would all go to ASD and wouldn't sort of address any of those city issues that you said need sort of additional funding. So I'm curious, what are the long-term attempts, if you're not putting forward a sales tax, to sort of address that fiscal cliff?
And I want to be clear, we are still approaching the fiscal cliff, and the municipality faces budget gaps in the next few years. We will be presenting scenarios for potential service cuts.
I just wanted to clarify as well. So the 11.8 million, we talked about the legality of being able to contribute more to ASD. Is that the top amount that we're able to contribute, or is that a figure that the administration decided would be a good amount for the levy?
The levy amount of $12 million represents the maximum that we are allowed to contribute to the school district to support education.
I'm curious, if part of your decision-making process was sort of feedback you heard from the community over the sales tax proposal. We've certainly seen pushback from business leaders, from some community members. Did that at all factor your decision? And do you think that a sales tax is feasible in a year, in 2 years, considering that fiscal cliff, I think, was 3 years away?
The $12 million levy is a unique opportunity for us to support our schools. As Dr. Bryantt mentioned, the community asks, how can we provide more support to our schools? And typically, we always provide the maximum allowed. And so the $12 million levy is a way that we can do that in light of changes in the BSA that have created that opportunity. We do still, at the municipal level, face a fiscal cliff ahead, and I am committed to continuing that conversation around revenue measures, around a sales tax. However, the $12 million levy is something that we can and need to do now. Education, our schools are the most important investment we can make in our community. And again, this is an opportunity to do something now. Any other questions?
Do you feel that directing some of this levy towards schools will make it attractive enough for voters to pass?
I believe this is a community that supports its schools and supports its educators. And from my conversations with people in our community, this is something that has potentially tremendous support. Dr. Bryantt, do you want to add to that?
I'll add that the Anchorage School District is frequently engaging with the community to ask them if the district were to receive more money, whether through a BSA or some other measure. They demand that it be used towards class sizes because that's the thing that's most urgent in the minds of parents every day. As a result of flat funding for nearly 10 years, one of the things that's crept up are the class sizes. So when it comes to the question being posed before the voters, I do believe that there is a large swath of the community that does see the direct value of an incredible teacher in front of their students. We went through a similar process this summer when the BSA increase occurred, in which situation the district did utilize funding from that BSA increase for teachers, and we received a lot of positive praise for that, and we want to continue that commitment to investing in our educators, because that's the direct connection point to improving the education of our students, and our teachers surely need that support. They're exhausted and they're giving their 110% for our kids.
Vice Chair Brawley, can you just speak about what the future for this measure looks like in the Assembly? I mean, is this going as a laid on the table tomorrow night's meeting, or how does this proceed?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yeah, my understanding is this will be laid on the table. We've worked behind the scenes to get this ready, and of course, this opportunity came up pretty quickly, and so making sure that gets on the ballot, or on the Assembly agenda. Then it will go for a public hearing on the 27th, which is the last meeting at which we can decide anything that goes on the ballot for April 2026. And I can't speak for the full body, but I can say that as a member and as co-chair of our Budget and Finance Committee, and someone who is very committed to seeing a sustainable budget in our city, I know this conversation is not over. And so for my part, I am happy to set aside the revenue measure for the time being, but I will work with my colleagues, with the mayor, and with others in the community to really continue that conversation and bring forward, what kind of city do we want to be in the future? Thanks.
And before you leave, I don't know if this is an Assembly or school district question, but who figured out that we could contribute more? Like, did it emerge during the BSA discussions in the summer, or it sounds like it was figured out pretty late that there was like a little bit of room to add some more dollars in?
I will defer to school district on that.
There was a robust conversation at the December joint school board and assembly meeting where we briefed the assembly and the municipality on the dire financial impact of the deficit on schools. And at that point, it was our chief financial officer that referenced that because of the BSA increase, it unlocked an opportunity for the municipality to increase its contribution to the new maximum. And that's where we're at today.
Dr. Bryantt, so late last year, the school board voted against closing a couple schools, which the district had kind of framed as part of this downside, or right sizing, I should say, to sort of address this financial issue. Does that lack of school closures kind of increase the immediacy of this type of funding? And do you foresee that, there are other sort of hard decisions that will need to be made, I guess, proposed by the school district and ultimately made by the school board to sort of further close that gap?
So my North Star with regards to right sizing was to ensure that we had strong neighborhood schools, and we thought about our long range operational footprint. It was about levels of academic service. Though the school board went in a different direction, this opportunity is just as valid when it comes to investing directly in our teachers and essential services. In some ways, this is a more direct approach to address those needs than a school closure, which is an indirect way at increasing levels of academic service. So both things can be true at once. We did pursue that opportunity, but at this point, we're now focused on closing our deficit by decreasing our expenditures and pursuing incredible opportunities such as the levy being discussed today.
And potentially for Dr. Bryantt, given the timing that the budget has to be submitted to the Assembly and the timing of when the election will take place, will the budget be presented as an, if this passes, will there be like two versions, if this passes, if this doesn't pass? Because the budget's due before you may know whether or not you get that money.
Sure. Great question, Tim. So essentially what this means, and to recap what Tim just described, the process will be that the administration will present a proposal for the budget to the school board by the end of this month. The school board will vet and review that proposal throughout the month of February, and then eventually the municipality and assembly will give final approval to that budget in March. So what that means is that from the voters' perspective, you'll have all the information that you need with regards to what does the ASD budget look like, what were the reductions, what does this impact mean for my community, for my schools? And I think that the voters will have the opportunity to be very well informed because that process will be complete. With regards to how the budget will be formatted, the school board and I will need to discuss different ways to address that. I can't speak for the board, but what I can say is that last year when we were anticipating a BSA increase, the board actually was very innovative and prepared an amendment to that budget that showed exactly how every dollar for a BSA increase would would be spent should that be approved. And I would anticipate a similar process could be mirrored for this levy. I have not had a formal meeting with the school board, but I would anticipate that that will be discussed, and that will provide voters with even more assurance as to exactly where these dollars would go. And just to be very clear, I envision every dollar of this levy to be directed to our teachers and to our classrooms.
ASD and the teachers union are currently sort of in negotiations. Do you anticipate that this infusion of $12 million would ease those negotiations and put the district in a better position to maybe succumb is a negative word, but to maybe agree to sort of some of the union's demands?
I view these two processes as distinct but interrelated. Both negotiating teams are currently bargaining in good faith for a fair deal, and in parallel we'll be pursuing this operational levy to ensure we have as many teaching positions as possible to provide relief to our families and to our teachers.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here today, and to the members and school board and district and others as well for your support and help in this process.
And there you have it, Mayor Suzanne LaFrance and Anchorage School District Superintendent Jharrett Bryantt talking about a proposed $12 million education levy to go onto the November ballot. This would be, they would also then set aside the original proposal for a sales tax, which was also intended to go on the November ballot. Superintendent Bryantt said that $11.8 million of that would provide about 90 teaching positions. He said his focus is more teachers and keeping vital student services, as well as keeping class sizes at, he said they were at the max of class sizes right now. And he said twice also during the conversation that teachers are exhausted. And so really interesting conversation. One of the reasons that we are at this $12 million number is because the Anchorage municipality is limited on how much they can donate or provide funding for the Anchorage School District. Some of it is required, but then there is some flexibility on money above the required amount. And with the increase in the base student allocation of $700 last year from the state legislature, that increased the amount that the Anchorage municipality is permitted to provide in funding to the Anchorage School District. So that's the max amount, and that's where that number came from. Mayor LaFrance did say we are still approaching a fiscal cliff in the Anchorage area, and that they will be looking at cuts to services, potential cuts to services, because, as I just said, they are intending to not put a sales tax on the ballot at the November election, which was something that they had intended to do. So interesting story. I don't know, you probably saw Lauren Maxwell there. She is a reporter on this, and we'll be covering this story for today. So please stay tuned on Alaska's News Source and alaskasnewssource.com.